my life, it's nothing but lies.
Why
I
is
sit
it-
here
Movie Love,
and I
Simon.
question.
That kid kind of reminds me of Ty. Are you guys filming right now?
Yeah.
Welcome back to episode 13 of Conti Nich. I'm Will Nicholson. As always, I have with me Gino Conti.
My bad.
And we have special
My bad,
guest,
player.
special guest,
Two-time
number 2,
guest.
the two-time,
The one-time-
undisputed,
The one-time, two-time guest.
The man, the myth, the legend,
not Brady, not Mr. Mac
Mr.
Jones.
Thomas Delorey.
Yeah,
Himself.
I'm here. It's a pleasure to be back.
So yeah, we're going to be talking some NBA offseason today. Gino's probably going to say some crazy shit, and I'm ready for it. He most certainly will. Yeah, we got social media. We've been posting on TikTok now, so if you want to follow us on there, it's at Conti and Nich on all social media. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy.
Okay, so the NBA Finals definitely are still going on. Milwaukee Bucks, Phoenix Suns. Milwaukee took Game 3 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin last night. Giannis went off, but we're not focusing on the now. We're focusing on the couple of months from now. Okay, we want to know, like, we're going to ask the boys, should some teams do in free agency this upcoming season?
All right, so one of the teams that I wanted to talk about was the Trailblazers. And I talked about it a little bit during our Ben Simmons episode, but the Trailblazers need to shake it up. They need to do something new. This backcourt of CJ and Dame, I think, has hit the peak. I think they've gone as far as they're probably ever going to go with that roster. And I think maybe they could use a little more size. If Ben Simmons wants to stay at the guard, he can stay at the guard. If he wants to maybe move to a 4, which I think he should do, then he can go and do that in Portland too. He'll be surrounded by shooters. I think that Portland should try and make a move for Ben Simmons. I think it's a low risk, high reward for them. Because I don't think Ben Simmons is going to be like super expensive after the playoffs.
Okay, so the CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard thing hasn't worked. Do we really think trading CJ McCollum, a guy who can average, 25 points per game, a very solid NBA player, very solid dribbler, everything. And I think he actually goes with Damian Lillard really well, adding Ben Simmons. Like we saw with Ben Simmons in that playoffs. I just don't think Ben Simmons is that piece. If you just add Ben Simmons and you're the Trailblazers, that's 100% not going to work.
Well,
if it's just
we
Ben
don't
Simmons.
know. Because the thing we don't know the adjustments that Ben Simmons is going to make. Because my thing with Ben Simmons, Ben Simmons right now in Philadelphia, the player he is not a good playoff performer. He's not. He's good in the regular season. In the playoffs, he can't perform. If Ben, maybe he changes himself in a new situation, which is what I've been saying, Ben needs a new situation.
To the power forward is what you're saying.
Move to the, not even that. Just he needs a new location. He needs a new locker room. No, and he won't be with Dame. That's the thing. So if he plays off ball at the 4, hey, you add size, no one's denying how athletic Ben Simmons is. Vision, I might have knocked his vision a little more, recency bias, but Ben Simmons is pretty good at passing. He does have good vision. And I think, if you want to shake it up in Portland, if you want to blow it up and get a young player to, he's still an all-star, could be an all-star next year, I think it would be a nice way to shake it up in Portland. I'm not saying that it's going to take them, over the top, but I think if you're Portland, you need to try something new. Something has to change.
Yeah, I honestly think that trade makes them worse. And, I think you're right. They need to split up Dame and they need to split up CJ. I just don't think Ben Simmons is the way to do that. Because we've seen, the playoffs this year, the guy just does not perform, and I think he's very limited. And if he gets that jump shot, maybe, it's what do we think he's going to do if he plays at the 4? Because in today's NBA is all about shooting, and Ben Simmons can't shoot. And if he's playing the 4, if he's playing off ball, I think a lot of the reason he was in the NBA All-Star in the first place is because of his passing, his rebounding, all that stuff. He's not going to be asked to do all that. He's going to be asked to just be a defender. So he could have impact as a defender, but overall, his impact will not be as much if he doesn't have the ball in his hands. So I don't think he's set up to be a second star in Portland.
This is totally unrelated, but it is for Portland. Imagine if Carmelo Anthony was in his prime on this team.
Maybe insane.
That's a fun thing to do too. But
yeah. Listen, like I said, I know it's completely unrelated.
Well, it's ironic because the one thing Portland is missing is really I feel like Nurkic is a good center.
A prime Melo.
They need a small forward, a guy like that who just goes out and gets another guy, a third piece. Because McCollum and McCollum and Lillard, they're just not enough. But if they had that third guy, I feel like they almost backtrack if they go with Simmons because they go from needing a third guy to maybe even needing a second guy because we really don't even know if Ben Simmons can be that second guy, and I personally don't think he can.
I said, it is definitely a risk, But you got to think too. Ben Simmons' trade market, I don't think is super high. So
Well,
maybe
Philly is like insistent that they trade.
Yes.
Like, get an all-star caliber player for Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Yes,
so-
but
Yeah.
think about this. They don't want Ben Simmons there. I don't think Ben Simmons wants to be in Philly anymore. If
Yeah.
you're the Trailblazers, maybe you can work out something where you're able to keep CJ and Dame and get Ben Simmons. I mean, it's possible.
Well, I mean, dude, the way I see that happening, you'd have to trade Nurkic.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you're losing all interior defense
That's
unless
true.
like you bring someone else in free agency. Maybe once again bring back Hassan
Yeah, I was gonna
Whiteside
say,
on like a cheap deal.
That's true.
But think about it. I mean, you keep Ennis Cantor, and I don't know what it is, but he just works in Portland. Okay, like Ennis
Yeah.
just works in Portland.
He does.
Okay, you'd have to give up Youssef. You'd probably have to give up Robert Covington. You'd give up all your depth for that third piece, and then when all three of them are tired, then what happens then? You know, I mean, Anthony Simons. Are you hitching your wagon to Anthony Simons?
No,
and I like him.
That's fair.
I like him.
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
but no.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, so I feel like they have to be in win now mode with Damian Lillard because
They
like
have to.
you bet what he's been in the league 10 years, 8. I don't know what it is, 8 years maybe. Let's call it that. So you have to be in win now mode. This is your franchise player, and you got like what, one conference finals out of it.
One,
You
yeah.
need more. This is the offseason. I say go for it. And if that's like getting flipping CJ for someone else, you do that, or you do everything to bring in a third like piece. And if it's you have to trade your your lesser players like the Norman Powells of the world, the Nurkic of the world, you
No,
do
don't
that.
give up Norman Powell.
So I think you can. I love
Yeah.
Norman Powell, but you can
But
find
he's
3 and D guys.
expendable.
You find that piece who puts you over the top, and that's what I think they should really focus on for this offseason.
Here's my thing though. If you're the Trailblazers, how much of a market is really out there to go to Portland? You know what I mean? 'Cause
No premium free agent is coming to Portland.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like Kawhi Leonard isn't gonna go to
He's not
Portland.
coming to Portland.
Like no big free agent is, and like what is really the market? Like what, they don't have a really big market to choose from as
Well,
far as players
think
go,
about it.
right?
There's so much of like an unattractive free agent market that they had to trade a first round pick, like a lottery pick. 16, so it's really not a lottery pick, but technically it is.
Yeah.
Okay, like it is classified as one. They had to trade a lottery pick for Robert Covington. And listen, I love Robert Covington, like a great 3-and-D role player, but he is not a lottery pick
He's
player.
not.
No.
Okay, that's how unattractive of a spot it is. Like they had to get Melo at midpoint in the season. Like Portland was a last resort, like the only team that would take Carmelo Anthony. And you know what? He wanted to be there, so it's not like, oh shit.
He still wants to be there. He
no,
re-signed
exactly.
there.
So
yeah.
it's not like, oh shit, guess I'll go to Portland. But that's also what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah,
Yeah.
It's once they get those guys there, they'll want to stay. It's like, so Melo probably didn't want to go there to start, but once he's there, he's in the environment, it's like, oh, Portland's not a bad spot.
Exactly.
But you look at the city of Portland, and you see that, you see Damian Lillard living there for all these years, like, I just don't want, I want to be in LA, I want to be in New York, I want to do all these things. So they're not going to get that guy, but it's like same thing happened with Boston, like when they got KG back in the day. KG didn't want to come here.
Did
So he
not.
forced him here, and then he's like one of the greatest Celtics ever. He loves Boston more than anything.
Yeah.
So if they can get that, they're going to have to do it through trade, 100%.
Well, here's a question now, because Chauncey Billups has influence throughout the league. Does he make Portland a more interesting like free agent attraction?
To an extent, yes, but at what point does it not matter? You know what I mean?
Listen, I mean, he has the finger on the pulse of like what's going on. I mean, even though technically he's like contractually obligated to keep his mouth shut, like he talks to players, right? I mean, it wasn't too long ago he was out the league. Like it wasn't 15, 20 years. It was like 10 years ago, right?
Chauncey's never coached before, right? Or head
No,
coach?
he hasn't.
He's not a head coach, but he was like on an assistant.
Oh,
Okay,
I didn't-
Yeah.
so,
So
that
it
he,
wasn't
I don't
just-
think
it
he
wasn't
has
like
the
he
same
was just
pull.
plucked out like Steve Nash.
Yeah, see, like I don't think he has the same pull. Like I think Chauncey Billups will be a good coach, and you know, he was one of the guys who were saying like, oh yeah, well I'd want him on the Celtics, obviously. But I do like Ime way better now that I've saw that was a possibility. I like it way more. But with Chauncey Billups, I think that he's gonna be a good coach, but I don't think that he has that much pull to be like, oh, big free agent come there. And this is why I say Ben Simmons. Like, is it the most ideal situation? No. But what other choice do you have? You bring in a young player, maybe he falls in love with the system, he falls in love with the city, the way that Dame has, and then maybe he develops there more. And who knows with Ben? Ben Simmons is the most confusing player in the league right now. because you're either on one side of the argument. There's no middle. It's either Ben Simmons is going to be out of the league in 5 years, or he's going to bounce back and become an all-star, and no one really knows.
Well, I think he's still. So the thing about Ben Simmons, he can 100% still be an all-star.
For sure.
Like, will he prove in the playoffs, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Can he be that, like, a piece on a championship contending team, and is his play style, like, conducive to a championship winning style? Which I'm not sure it is right now, because with him and
Right now, it's not. Right now, it's 100%.
Ben
he has to adjust, I think, and just become more
I've
of a
said it
defensive asset.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. Ben Simmons is a player who needs to have the ball in his hands. He needs to be like the facilitator. He needs to be the primary ball handler.
So I'm the opposite. I think he has to learn to be the defensive guy.
Yes.
And I don't think
he needs to move to the floor.
I don't think his skills are great. I don't think his ball handling is great. I think his passing is all right. But I think that's kind of a product of he has Embiid in the paint, and he's like a decent finisher around the rim.
Philly loved to run the fast break too.
Yeah,
it was wide open.
Everyone kind of crashes in on them, all that stuff. And he's got Seth Curry. He's got Cork Mize. I think that guy's
Danny
a bunch
Green.
of guys.
Danny Green.
Just go out
Tobias
there
Harris.
and just shoot the ball. Yeah, just a bunch of shooters, and I think that like plays into it. I feel like a lot of his games, like he drives in, he kicks in, and then he's got Embiid to run the pick and roll with. There's no better pick and roll partner in the game. So
True.
do I think he's like one of the greatest passers in the league? No, and I think he has to turn into that. Not a stretch forward, but like maybe that point forward type. Well, so like I don't.
Well, that's kind of what he is.
I know,
but
I don't want. So
he plays too much point guard.
Yeah,
he plays
so
too much
think
point guard.
Point forward in the sense that I don't want him bringing the ball up every time, but every now and then maybe he gets a rebound, he can run the fast break. But I don't want the inbound pass going to Ben Simmons every time.
I agree with that. Ben definitely needs to change up what he's doing. So we'll move to the Celtics. I mentioned Ime a little bit earlier. And we didn't get to say this yet. I loved this signing 100%.
Yeah,
you got a guy who coached Team USA. He's been waiting for his chance. And I was a little skeptical at first. I was like, oh, really?
He was on the Spurs for a while.
He was on the Spurs, and he coaches Team USA. He's a product of Popovich. And then you start hearing all this stuff. You're like, oh, like, this fits. And then you hear that Jalen and Jason, like, specifically wanted him there because they wanted a coach to work them. And I will say 100%, I was wrong about Brad Stevens in an episode earlier because I was saying, like, oh, maybe I don't really think the Celtics want a coach like that. I was wrong. They totally do, and I'm glad that Jalen and Jason got their guy. But I still think that they need to make more moves in the offseason for this team to be successful.
A couple of things about Ime Udoka real quick, which I really, really like. He spent time coaching offense and defense. So really, he, like, as an assistant. Yeah. Okay, so he has, like, a really, like, well-rounded, like, repertoire. Okay, so, like, he knows, well, obviously he played and he's in the sport and is a head coach of a major market. So, of course, he knows what he's talking about. But he really has an experience, like I said, being with Pop. And I think he was under Brett Brown for a little bit. And I think Brett Brown got a little bit of a bad rap. I think he's a solid coach, okay? Yeah. But I think that him and his experience and his pull in the league, I think that that's definitely something that he has. And I definitely think that's something like that fire that players can relate to. And he's not obviously this like 70-year-old old geezer who like goes on the boat after every game. Like, no, like he's some younger guy who they can relate to. And the one thing I loved about it, on his press conference, he goes, "Yeah,
he
sorry.
sold me in the press conference.
Sorry, Brad. Hate to bring it up. This man literally goes to his boss and goes, "Sorry, your defense
I'm gonna do your job
sucks."
better."
Yeah, he goes, "I'm sorry, your defense sucked." But you know what? He wasn't sorry, and that's the best part. He goes, "I'm gonna be on these guys' ass," and I'm like, dude. For those of you who know
me in the press conference.
For those of you who know me, this is exactly what I have been asking for.
It is.
This is exactly what I have wanted. It's someone who will hold the players accountable, someone who will just be like, "Yo, Jason, cut the shit. I don't care if you're the best player on this team.
Mark,
I'm the
stop
coach.
shooting.
I'm in charge." I love it. I am so excited for this hire, but I know it's not an NBA Udoka episode. But we
haven't talked about it yet because we did a Brad Stevens episode and we did like who should be the next Celtics head coach. Ime Udoka, he seems like the perfect fit for Boston with their situation right now. That being said, though, I still think the Celtics need to make more moves. Kemba Walker had to go. It was time. I actually love that we got Al Horford back and we got more
it's the
length.
Leadership that we needed. That's
not only that,
needed.
But what's his name? Moses
Brown.
Moses Brown, yeah.
I was about to
That
say
is
Moses
great.
Malone.
I was so close to.
The one gripe I do have with that trade, though, is we did I know we had to get rid of Kemba's contract, but we gave up a first round pick in that trade too.
Yeah.
Which is
But Moses Brown is he could be first round.
yeah,
talent,
so
you know?
that's the thing. So at 16, where are we gonna get a guy that was as good as Moses Brown?
No,
Maybe not.
probably
and
not.
then so going back to Ime Udoka, I do love the sign too. So the other thing, so he's gonna connect with the players real well. I mean, so Team USA he coached, and that was Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. So obviously you want those guys there, and then he's gonna hold them accountable, all this stuff. I think it's a really good hire. I was kind of a little skeptical at first. I wanted an
I wanted
NBA
Chauncey.
guy.
At
Well, he
first,
was-
I wanted Chauncey,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
then I heard the press conference.
Dude, I heard the
Yeah,
press
he
conference,
said-
and then the reports come out that Jalen and Jason were like, "Yeah, this is who we told Brad and Danny and everyone in the organization. Hey, we want him.
Yeah.
He needs to
Well,
come here."
So I feel like he's a guy that comes in and he commands the room, which is
Yeah.
and the players respect him, which is the exact
Yes.
opposite of what we had with Brad. It's
Yeah.
the players didn't listen to him. And then going back to the Marcus Smart thing, so this is kind of why I'm kind of on the fence with Marcus Smart now. If you asked me a month ago, I'd be like, Marcus Smart, pack your bags, I'll pack them for you, get out of town. But now I'm kind of like, Ime Udoka's here. Maybe he tells Marcus Smart, hey, you can't take 15 threes a game, Marcus Smart. You're not that type of player.
You're not that
You
guy,
can-
pal.
Yeah,
You're not that guy, pal.
you can sit on the end of the bench and you can play your role and you can play defense. When it was with Brad, it was like Brad loves Marcus Smart.
He does.
I don't think he's gonna trade him. I kind of
Hold
want
on,
him to.
did Brad like? Hold on, we'll have to see till this offseason. Are we sure Brad liked Marcus Smart, or
I'm
was
very
it Danny
sure.
Yeah.
Ainge?
I
Or
think
was
Brad
it Danny
liked
There
him.
Ainge?
was reports that
Yeah.
came out that Brad was
He
favoring
favored.
Marcus
Yep,
Smart
I saw that.
over.
Okay, okay.
And we have guys like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. So
Yeah.
he should absolutely not be favoring Marcus Smart. I think maybe it was more towards guys like I don't know Evan Fournier. He was favoring, or it was like Brad favored him because he started him the entire year. It's like I know Mark's a good player, and he also gave him very, very crunch time minutes in the playoffs last year. It's I get it, but it's Marcus Smart. Just I really just don't think he's that guy. You want him to, I love his hustle plays, but it's for every hustle play he makes, he leaves you scratching your head with some three from the logo. It's
It was absurd.
He just
Yeah.
outweighs every good thing he does with something bad. And it's
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that being oh, I'm sorry. That being said, the
good.
Celtics. There was a report. I don't remember who it was, but it was the Celtics are planning to have a busy July.
yeah.
And there's a void at point guard now, and I think Marcus could play it. I still think that we're in the market for a point guard.
For
And
sure.
from looking, outside in, that's what I see.
I don't think Pritchard is ready to take that.
No,
start.
no, no
I
and
think-
I don't
way.
think he would.
Listen,
regardless.
and
I don't think
I
they would.
do like Peyton Pritchard, and I do think he could be a valuable bench piece throughout his entire career. He'll be a coveted bench piece, maybe a 6-man.
Mhm.
I think that's his ceiling,
Yeah.
a good 6-man. But he's not a starter. He's a fill-in starter who can give you good minutes, maybe on a last-second injury. Okay, but Peyton Pritchard is not. I'm sorry to use that analogy. He's not that guy. Okay,
He's not. He's for sure not ready to take the helm.
Yeah. So
And that's not a knock. He just finished his
Dude,
rookie year.
if you finish off your career as a very solid 6-man, people the old heads will remember you. You
I
know.
respect you.
Yeah, and right now our guard depth is really, I guess, Jaylen Brown, but I kind of want to move to small forward. I'm not sure. It depends who we get. And then we basically have Pritchard and Smart.
Well,
so it's we can't go in with that lineup.
Do we bring back
So-
Rondo, a facilitator
So
for Jalen and Jason?
if I'm the Celtics, no, I'm sorry, I don't bring back Rondo because as valuable as a guy like playoff Rondo is, okay, I want somebody who is going to be at this point, okay, in the Celtics rebuilding stage, if you want to say that. I want somebody who is going to play hard night in, night out.
Mhm.
Okay, I want someone who's going to consistently care about every single game. And let's be real, at this point, Rondo is just looking to latch onto a contender. And at this point, the Celtics are not championship contenders anymore. Okay, we'll see if Udoka lights a fire under this team and they overachieve heavily. Okay, we'll see. But as of right now, with this constructed roster, no, they're not ready to compete.
Oh, no.
They are not ready at all. And one thing about Marcus Smart that I do want to say, okay, I'm in agreement with you, D'Lo. I do think that yes, I love the hustle plays, and I love that he lays his body on the line almost every single game. Okay, and he really just screams whenever and the fans love him. But like you said, for every bad play and for every good play, there's 3 bad ones.
Yeah.
And it's just damn, man. And occasionally he'll catch fire, which will kind of make the worries go away. We're paying Marcus Smart, I'd say, a decent amount of money, right?
I think it's $12 million.
We're
a year,
paying him
something
$12
like
million
that.
a year. What's wrong with someone like Bruce Brown?
Oh, nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, if
what's
we
the-
get a guy like that, I would totally. So that's the thing about Marcus Smart too. You can find guys who can defend at a high level. Like, you can find them anywhere. And then it's like if you get a guy like that for Marcus Smart, I think you do that.
I'm not
Or
saying
just a guy on a lesser contract in general.
I'm not even saying you trade Marcus
Yeah.
Smart for Bruce Brown because I think you'd lose that trade, honestly, okay? But I say trade Marcus and try to get a first-round pick. See if a team will reach and who's desperate. Like I said, Portland was desperate for Robert Covington. Try to get like a similar situation like that.
I don't
And
think we
then-
trade Marcus.
And then you
I don't think Brad does. I think Danny would have shipped him out of town, but now that it's Brad, I think Brad's gonna hold on to him. And the thing that
I like
think,
Marcus Smart's value. With Ime, I like his value on the team.
I think
we
Marcus
haven't seen Ime and
But
Marcus on the floor
I
yet.
feel like it's gonna work.
Well,
you know
okay,
what I
so
mean?
This is the thing. I feel like Marcus Smart has kind of grown stale because the big thing about the Celtics too is like we need that leader type of guy, and like I think Marcus Smart is that type of guy, but he's just not good enough to where like
He thinks
Jason
he's an
Tatum.
alpha.
Well, yeah, they don't listen to him. It's like so I think Smart or I think Brown, I think Tatum are kind of done with him. If Marcus Smart like gets all rah rah in the locker room, like they're not gonna listen to him. It's like they don't really care what he has to say. It's like he could go be that leader on another team, but it's like Tatum. I don't think Tatum. They might not they may. I don't think they dislike him, but I don't think they respect him in the fact that like they know they're better than him, so they're not gonna listen to what he has to say. And if Smart gets all like whatever, they're just not gonna listen.
They have said though. Tatum has said like in press conferences, Marcus Smart is the heart and soul of this team.
Well, they
Now
have
whether
to.
or not
They
he
have to.
but
Yeah.
whether or not he meant it or not, but I think that Marcus Smart is a guy that like any team would want, right? I think just maybe because we as Celtics fan have seen him chuck up shots these past couple of years and the Celtics haven't been good. Was that more Brad Stevens? Was that more Marcus? We don't really know, right? But I think with Ime Udoka as the coach, I think that Marcus Smart will play more of a role of what he played in past years, not like more recent, where he's just a defensive guy. You know, he's taking charges.
Since his rookie year, he always chucked up threes.
Yeah.
That's always.
But
been
it's gotten way worse these past couple of years.
It's because Brad kind of enticed
He
it by
enabled
playing.
it.
Yeah, he, like
Yeah.
Brad
By
gives
starting
him the
him.
confidence
Yeah.
out, and then Brad and like press. I think it was the Cleveland series. Marcus Smart went 0 of 10 in that like series, or like from 3 in Game 7. And
Yeah.
I don't even think Brad like came out and said I'm pretty sure Brad just told him keep shooting. He kind of like gives those guys confidence. Like you have to know what guys to tell to keep shooting and what guys not to.
He's
And there
not
are
one of the
ga- yeah.
guys.
And Marcus Smart has games where it's like, like the Toronto game last year, he hit 5 threes in the fourth quarter. He carried us that game. It's like those games are so far and like in between each other that it's like it's not worth putting up with him every night.
It's an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's
Like
like
that's the thing. So that's why I'm saying. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's why I'm saying. Why wouldn't you just do it? Like, yeah, you might not get the upside with a guy like Bruce Brown, okay, but he'll know his role.
Smart has no upside though.
Yeah, well,
We know what he
When
is.
I'm
Yeah,
talking about
okay.
the upside, like that Toronto game that you were talking about,
Yeah,
where he
okay.
carries you. Okay, Bruce Brown will never do that, but at the same time, he'll never just chuck up 10 threes a game and make one of them.
Well, that's
Okay,
know your role. Like know you're Marcus Smart. Know you're not Jason. Know you shouldn't be taking 20 shots a night. Know that you're like the guy that can like dive on the don't dive on the floor and then take a 3 right after that. Know what you should be doing on the court. And it's like at this point he's 8 years in. Whatever. I think he was drafted in 2013. We know he's like not gonna turn that guy that knows his role. So it's like so the only hope is that he's been coached under Brad Stevens his entire tenure here. So yeah.
I'm sorry. We can agree the Celtics are looking for a point guard, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So free agency, we don't have a ton of money, but I think we got some spending room.
We get some money if we traded Smart.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally true. So, all right, you know what? In theory, let's say that then. Let's say we trade Marcus Smart, right?
Get a first round pick. Get that
Yes,
first
okay.
round pick back that
Yes.
we traded to get Kemba. Or
Sure.
we traded to get Kemba off the books.
So, yeah, sure. We can do that, right? But we have money, okay? Now, let's look at the free agency. I got a couple of guys, and,
I have a list too.
Okay, we probably have the same
Should we
thing.
say yes or no to these guys?
Okay, yeah, so Chris Paul. If
Oh,
we can get him,
if you can get
yeah.
If you can get Chris Paul, of
I knew
course.
those.
You need to be checked into a mental institution if you say no
Yeah.
to bringing Chris
Well,
Paul here.
hold on.
There are a lot of names out
It all
there.
depends on the years with Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I would
okay.
give him.
Here's the thing.
I'd give him a 5.
I
don't know if
am.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
bro.
It's so tough.
See, I'm willing to overpay with Chris Paul,
Yeah.
and I was gonna bring this up with the Knicks, so that's a bit of a spoiler. I'm willing to overpay with Chris Paul. I'm sorry, I'm not giving him more than 2 years.
I was gonna say if it's 2 years, like whatever, $40 million a year, yeah. But it could.
And
It puts
this
him in
is coming
championship
from me.
contention right away.
This
I know.
is coming from
Yeah.
me.
Because what's he?
The Chris Paul
He's
fan himself.
35, 36, so that's tough
Yeah.
to give him like a contract until he's 40. And I'm not doing that. It's like he hasn't declined yet, but we could very well see him decline. I know he's probably in great shape, all that. He's in the finals right now, but we could see him decline very soon. So I'd be very iffy giving him
All
that
right,
deal.
let me throw some options at you guys, okay? Because Chris Paul is also it's a player option, so he'll probably go back to Phoenix. But if I'm the Celtics, here's what I'm doing. The guys that I would want to come here is some probably a little more unrealistic than others. 3 guys: Chris Paul, Mike Conley, Kyle Lowry. One of those 3, if you can get, I think we win free agency for sure.
I like all of them. They're all a little old, and this is probably the same thing going back to Chris Paul. I would not give any of them those big deals. I think they're all like 30.
We got to go all in, though. That's the thing.
Well,
Al Horford's old. Jason Tatum and Brown want to win.
At this point, like, who gives? Like, you're not really.
I care. I love Al.
No, here's like, I love Al Horford, but like, if your reasoning for going all in is Al Horford is old,
no. As far as the timeline goes, like, why would we get like, you know? I don't think age is necessarily that much of a big thing on the Celtics team, because you have 2 young players with playoff experience that want to win. You have, I mean, in this scenario, I guess you don't have Marcus Smart, and then you have like Al Horford. You have a team that's ready to go all in. So those are kind of the reach.
Here's my question to this though. Honestly, I love Mike Conley. Like, all 3 of those point guards, I love. Okay, like I personally as a player love. And I understand that Brad Stevens isn't the coach anymore, but Brad Stevens, his like main thing is getting something out of nothing. Yes. Okay, so why wouldn't you spend money at a more premium position, like maybe I don't know, like go get a big man, like Brad Stevens forever has been saying. Okay, because maybe Moses Brown
honestly,
does it.
I think our big man situation is. Because that was my complaint too. I was always complaining about the big man. Not that we necessarily didn't have one. It was more that
it just wasn't a fit.
We didn't have depth too. So we have Robert Williams now, who should 100%, no questions asked, start at center. If
he's injury prone, man.
No, but I think.
But you still
but that's why you have a safety net. You have a safety net. That's why you have
Moses Brown is just kind of like a watered down. I don't think he's as good of a defender, but he's kind of just a watered down Rob Williams.
We can't really make it. The jury's out. I'm not making any takes on Moses Brown because the jury is still out on him. Let's keep in mind he performed on a team that was putting in 0 effort to win.
That he was performing on a D League team.
Yeah, he was performing on a D League team.
Their starting roster is younger than Michigan's starting roster.
Yeah, so listen, I'm excited for Moses Brown because he's going to be under the tutelage of Al Horford, and that's going to help. But at the same time, we don't know if this guy can carry water.
Yeah. Okay? But here's the thing: we've seen what he can do right now, right? And I think that is security for Robert Williams is injury prone. Because think about it, Robert Williams, it's like, okay, we know what Rob Williams is when he's healthy. Great player, great center. For what the Celtics have, great center. And let's say, okay, Rob gets hurt, then you still have a guy who can come in, he can defend, he can play down low, and he still has potential. We don't know what that's going to be, but you still know you have something there. So that's why I think I wouldn't want us to go out and get a big man, because I think point guard is a need for the especially.
Yeah, we actually have too many big men. We actually have Tristan Thompson still sitting there. It's like
he's gonna go. He's gonna go
he is.
Sure.
So, but like, no matter who we put out there at center, whether it's Al, whether it's Moses,
Luke
whether it's Robert Williams, like I'm comfortable starting any of those guys.
Yes.
Even Al Horford, I'm comfortable starting.
Yes.
So it's like the big hole we talked about earlier. Peyton Pritchard and Marcus Smart are our guards right now. I think we do whatever it takes to get like a guard like that, and I don't know if it's through free agency.
I disagree.
A guard like it'd be a lot of money. We don't even have the money to bring in those guys.
I have some more guards, by the way. So those were my reach guys, right? Those were probably the best guards. But then you start to get into like, if that was like my A tier, this is probably my B tier. Okay. You have, I mean, he's not a point. He's a guard, but you have Victor Oladipo, who I think he's ready to start winning again. I think.
Yeah. But I don't know if that puts us over the top.
He's more of a 2 guard.
Yeah, but he could play point guard. That'd be a weird backcourt with him and Smart, though.
It'd be a great defensive backcourt.
I know the thing. Yeah, it'd be a great defensive. He wouldn't be a great passing backcourt. And Oladipo, I don't know. The thing is, too, I mean, his leg is so messed up. I mean, like, he missed the past 2 years.
So
that's
another guy.
The best ability is availability, right? That's the same logic I was just using with Time Lord.
It's true. So another couple of guards here, and I'm interested in one of these guys specifically, Goran Dragic. No. I think.
Yeah, I'm against Goran Dragic.
Okay, that's fair.
First of all,
we got options.
Shout out John Bro, who said Goran Dragic should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely absurd.
I mean, Goran, he's getting a little older now. Like, maybe he takes less money. Who knows?
So isn't Kyle Lowry. So isn't Mike Conley. And so isn't...
This is the one I'm interested in the most. Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to be a free agent.
Again,
Depends
on the
he's
money.
more of a
I
two guard.
think it
And
depends
I
on the
think- I
money.
think
But
Again,
he,
he's more of a two.
But I mean, at this
like,
point, like Marcus is more of a 2, but like right now he's our only point guard.
yeah, and I feel like Tim Hardaway is almost like an Evan Fournier clone, like almost. They're very similar.
No, I think he's a better
Hardaway-
shooter.
I
I
think
think
he
he
hits
plays
shot
better.
off better.
Let me present something to you, okay? I think this could be interesting. You know who was considered the draft bust by the Miami Heat, and then he actually got some, recognition once he moved the point guard? Justice Winslow. Why not have Justice Winslow run the point?
I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
like,
what
what
has he
about-
been doing? He's
what-
on the
what-
Grizzlies now, right?
Yeah, he is on the Grizzlies now, but I
don't think he does. I feel like he doesn't even play any. If we go in starting Justice Winslow, like that's a problem.
I mean, well,
And then
well,
after
listen,
after
and then-
Dennis Schroeder, it pretty much
Listen,
drops off. By the way,
I think as of right now, the Celtics need to do something because right now they are not in championship contender mode. Okay, we need to do something where we get low ball free agents, get the most out of them because we have a motivator at the coach, and then trade them for assets to then get something bigger. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's what we need. See, that's why I kind of want to try out guys like Justice Winslow because you can pick them up for cheap. If they don't do good, screw you. See you later. Okay, if they do good, and you can either decide to keep them if it's going to be sustainable, or trade them if you want to get something that could be packaged for a bigger piece. Because then all of a sudden, look, if you want to hold on to Marcus maybe till the trade deadline, okay, you get to package him, Justice Winslow. I'm just using Justice Winslow as an example. Him, Justice Winslow, and then if Robert Williams can't stay healthy, then Time Lord, and I think you could get for those three players a decently an all-star caliber player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like the package of those three guys, and then maybe throw in a first or a second. I think you could do that. That's why I'm saying and I know it's baseball, but what did the Red Sox do? They kind of picked up guys who were like low-hanging fruit type of guys, guys on paid contracts. They built up their stock, and we'll see if they'll trade them at some certain point. But that's what they're doing. They picked the low-hanging fruits, and now that they're performing, it makes it seem better than they really are. Does that make sense?
It's kind of what the Knicks did this year too. Like they picked up guys like Alec Burks or like Julius Randle last offseason. I think they picked up Bobby Portis last offseason. Like guys like that, prove it to you. And I think that can work only because I think this is the last trial run with Jalen and Jason, because we saw it didn't really work with Brad. We saw they didn't turn that championship contending team. But maybe under Ime Udoka, maybe they take that next step. Maybe he's that guy who gets more out of these guys, gets what they really should be out of these guys. So yeah, just gets really what this team gets this team to reach their potential, and maybe going off Gino's point, we can get we don't have to make a decision on third star yet. We can see how Jalen and Jason really work together under a coach that's really gonna hold them accountable.
how would you guys feel about Spencer Dinwiddie?
Yes, I would
Yeah.
love Spencer.
I mean,
Because
the
he's
injury makes me
unrestricted.
nervous.
No,
Yeah.
The
I don't
injury
know.
well, he is on a decently sized contract though, actually, isn't he?
Well, it's over. He's a
Oh,
free
it's
agent.
over
He's
now?
a free
Okay.
agent.
Oh, so then pick him up for cheap.
Depends on the money, too.
approve it to you.
2 year, give him. He made 11 million. Wait, he made 11 million this year. Maybe you throw him a 2 year
I'd say
I
give
don't
him
know.
a 1 year, $8 million deal.
I
One
think
year.
I
that's
feel
low.
yeah, but teams are gonna bid higher than that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So what if it's what
Let's
if it's
say
1 year, 15
three-
million?
three-
I don't know, something like
What
that.
about this 3 year 40-50 million?
No.
Yeah,
That- that's a decent-
And he's,
that's
a
I mean,
decent
he's
contract.
young.
See,
I think-
here's the thing. For Spencer Dinwiddie, who's coming off torn ACL.
Yeah.
Listen, it takes 2 full years to recover from that. Okay, I'm not gonna give him 3 years for a guy who might
That's
not
fair.
ever recover and then waste $50 million.
And I don't want
I'm
him
not
to be
doing
the
that
guard of the
on
future. I
Lonzo
do
Ball's
not- yeah.
impossible, right? I think
I
I,
don't
read
think it,
somewhere
I mean,
that
depends
Lonzo's
on the money. I
impossible.
mean, if he's making $20 million a year, we don't have the cap space right now. I mean, we could move Smart, we could move someone else, maybe we can make
Yeah.
room. Tristan Thompson makes I think 10 million or something
Yeah.
like that, so we could move some guys to the book and maybe make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, so after like I said, the guards drop off really quick. There's some couple more guys. I don't know if you guys heard. Just shout if you're interested. We got Lou Will, Derrick
No.
Rose is a free agent.
I
I
wouldn't
like
mind
Derrick
D. Rose.
Rose as a 6-man. I don't want him starting for this team.
Ish Smith.
Yes.
No, Gino,
Yes.
stop it. We don't want
Yes.
Ish Smith.
I'm serious.
Where do you want
we
Ish
need a
Smith to
crafty
play?
slasher.
Avery
All right,
Bradley, Chris
As,
Dunn.
oh my God.
I
So,
want
I don't
Ish
know.
Smith. I'm not joking.
is he gonna take the bench role, or are you gonna start Ish Smith? Because if we go in starting Ish Smith, we're gonna get laughed off the court.
Listen, I don't care. Okay, well, if that's the case, Justice Winslow, pick up Justice Winslow.
Is
can
he
be
a
the
free
starter.
agent?
Ish Smith, Justice?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on the list. I see him on
Okay.
my list.
All right.
So, okay, I want Ish Smith. I'm being dead serious. Why not try out a guy like Chris Dunn? Just try it out. Like I said, and I know it sounds like Chris Dunn, Justice Winslow, Ish Smith. Like at first, yes.
Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah, Matisse Thybulle. But like I said, why not? Like I said, just try.
Yeah, I'm into trying guys out, but I'm more into trying guys out like better players. I think we know what we know what Ish Smith is, Gino. He's played for 11 teams in his career, and he hasn't sucked for a reason.
Okay,
because
fine.
there's been 11 teams that have given Ish Smith a prove-it deal, and guess what? He's never proven
What about
it.
Alfred
So I don't want to be
Payton?
the 12th team to make it.
That's
That's another guy. What has he played for the Magic, the Knicks? He's played for a ton of teams.
Alfred Payton is actually kind of what we need. Like, I'm not saying the answer, okay, but like averages about 9 to 10 points, gives you about 6 to 7 assists, and gives you like a decent amount of rebounds. I say about 3 to 4 for a point guard, dude. Like, I mean, he's a little streaky, but Alfred Payton is like a very watered down facilitator.
Austin Rivers is out there.
I like Austin Rivers better than Alfred Payton because Austin Rivers can get to the basket. He can make shots. There's
That's
another.
true.
I mean, he's another guy that's like has not stuck around. He actually got traded by his own father, so that kind of shows maybe how valuable he is. I don't really know, but Alfred Payton. I'm just a no on. I'm sorry if he's. So if it's like
I'm
on the
pretty much
bench,
no
it's
on
on the bench, like whatever, like stash him at the end of the bench. I don't want to see Alfred Payton starting point guard of the Boston Celtics. We need a guy.
That's true.
And if we have to do it through trade, and this is the one name I always think about, if somehow we can do something for Malcolm Brogdon, give up a couple picks for that.
I love Malcolm
I throw a
Brogdon.
lot towards Malcolm Brogdon.
Maybe Marcus
like,
Smart.
Maybe Marcus Smart,
knows?
and then it's like back to what Gino was saying. It's what we need, but like it's what we need, and it's a player that can actually play the game of basketball. I'm like, no offense to Alfred Payton, but it's a guy that kind of moves the needle as an all-star caliber player. A guy who averages like what 18 and 8,
No,
can shoot
listen.
50, 40, 90, like a guy like that. Which I don't even know if he's obtainable, but if he is, I'd throw a lot.
No.
I'd
And
throw a
listen,
lot at him.
I completely and utterly agree that Malcolm Brogdon would be obviously better than
Oh
Alfred
yeah,
Payton.
no.
But what I'm saying is, I don't want to pay a lot of money to players because I don't think we're in that spot. I don't think we're in that position to compete. I think, like I said, as of right now, we just need to get cheap guys to come in. I'm not going to try to keep on repeating myself, but just get guys on prove-it deals. If they perform, great. Trade them for like a higher value than they would have gone anyways. If they don't work out, you sign them for $5 million, cut them.
Yeah,
You know?
so that might be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think the Celtics fan in me is just like so sick of this. Like, I'm just impatient. I feel like I just want the move that's like finally gonna move the needle. And it's like
Yeah.
I thought it was Kyrie, I thought it was Gordon Hayward, I thought it was Al Horford, and it never was. Like so bad because I know if we did that, the team might be all right. Like they might be fun to watch. It might be like whatever, but it's not gonna obviously put us in a championship contention. And that's
true.
what I want. And maybe the smart move is to wait. But it's like I want championship basketball and I want it now. And like as a Celtics fan, I want
fair.
Brad Stevens to turn out a trade. It's like we've seen the trades for Allen and Garnett. It's like I want something like that. And I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. But that's what I want.
All I'm gonna say is, real quick on that Kemba Walker trade, our biggest complaint about Danny Ainge, he hoarded the first round picks. He hoarded all this. He hoarded all that.
Brad did not.
Brad did not. First thing he did, trade a first round pick.
I know, right?
He
love
did
it.
the opposite. He gave the first round pick away for free. He was like, you know what? Here's
still did it.
Here's our all-star caliber point guard, and you know what? Take a first round pick with it.
It's a bad contract.
We'll take your aging veteran who's also on a bad contract. Need I remind
But
you?
Al is valuable. Al is valuable.
Yeah, first of all, Al
He is.
helps us in the now, and with that move, that Kemba Walker move, we're now positioned in a couple of years for a max slot. Because we saved
true.
close to like $30 million, not this season alone, but over time.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
season we didn't save that much money, but yeah. So maybe in a few years that's when we finally make that move.
It's
so
possible.
maybe it is like maybe this offseason is, but like from all the things Will said earlier, it's like they're trying to make moves. Like they're making a lot of moves this offseason.
I think
it
it could
seems
happen.
like
Well,
something's coming down. the
Something's
pipe.
coming.
Busy
And if it's
doesn't
Alfred
mean-
Payton, I'm gonna just throw up. That's just not what I want.
Listen, busy doesn't mean blockbuster, my friend.
No, I don't
Busy
think it
doesn't
will
mean
either.
blockbuster.
But I think that the Celtics will end up getting a lot of decent free like role players. None of this
Is that
fucking
not what I said?
none of
Is
the-
this not what I had suggested?
no,
this
but
whole
like
video?
no more of this like Tristan Thompson and
Hey, Tristan
like
was a good signing.
and what
He's a role player, though.
Jeff Teague like no none of that garbage. Like bring in like the bring in good free last free agency was not a good free agency for us. And I don't want to have another year like
so,
that.
well, one interesting guard.
Bring in Danny Green. Bring in
Yeah.
like Iguodala. Like get
Well,
Kelly
okay,
Oubre.
so
You don't
those
get
are
to
like
say
veteran
bring in
guys.
Danny Green, Will.
What?
Yeah,
You don't get to say bring in Danny Green.
You
Will.
did.
I know, it's okay. After the finals, watching Danny Green just lay brick after brick after brick, I do not want Danny Green.
Hey,
I
maybe
really don't.
if it's
Well,
better.
we're not going to be in the final, so we won't have to worry about
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
All right, so moving on to a team who is most definitely competing for a championship, the 7th seed in the West, the Lakers, because I want to put the Lakers logo in the thumbnail. So no, I'm kidding. But the Lakers, they do have a really interesting offseason. You know, as far as they went kind of, like, we know they're all in, but this offseason they tried to just build this amazing team, right? You bring in 2 6-man of the year candidates, one guy who actually win it.
Harrell and Schroeder.
Yep. And then you bring in all these pieces. You move Danny Green. You didn't like him. You kind of give KCP now the full shooting role. And obviously
that was
injuries,
disgusting.
destroyed that team. But honestly, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I still think that healthy Lakers team goes to 7 with this Phoenix Suns team, and I don't know who wins.
Oh, I think they won that series. They were up 2-1 when AD went down. I think they win. I think the Suns were a first-round exit, and I hate to say that because they're in the finals. I'm not trying to take anything away from that finals
I
run,
don't
but
know.
they probably would have been a first-round exit. But
I love watching this Suns team. They
LeBron-
play really good basketball.
And I think the finals
LeBron
more
would not
interesting
have
this
let
way.
it. LeBron would not have let it happen.
I don't know, man. I
LeBron
don't know if
wouldn't have let it
LeBron
happen.
commands that anymore. Like,
Listen, I understand like how much I've hated on LeBron the last couple of months, but I'm telling you right now, like LeBron would not have let it happen. He wouldn't have.
He's one of the greats
if
for
AD
sure.
was on the
Yeah.
floor.
Well, so
LeBron
it's funny
wouldn't have
because LeBron did kind of let it happen in a way, but yeah, he didn't have that second superstar, and he was totally dogging it. That like the whole end of that series, he was like walking back on defense, all that stuff.
That's your
But, like,
role model, kids.
No, it's like he knew he was gonna lose that series. Like,
Yeah,
should
he
he have
knew.
tried? Yes, but it's like he knew that series was over.
I
He was
mean,
just ready for Space Jam to
And
come
then it's
out.
like,
Yeah.
so the Lakers are a fantastic team, and I think I do think they have room for improvement. What, this year they brought in like the 3-headed monster of Drummond, Montrezl Harrell, and then Marc Gasol. None of them
Marc
really
Gasol, but
panned out.
none of them worked.
Yeah, so it's like I think they should go. It's like they should try a center again. It's like that Montrezl Harrell thing.
Kawhi
should-
is a player option.
Oh my
no,
god, if that
it's
happened.
not happening.
And I do think they have room for a max slot though. I don't think they're gonna bring back Schroeder. He wants like 6 years.
Think
100
about
million.
this.
I
Think
would
about
not
this.
give him that.
Chris Paul.
So
LeBron's buddy.
That's a very interesting
LeBron's
one.
buddy. Because here's the thing. Chris Paul is a player option. And yeah, Phoenix is going to win a ring. Or I think they're going to win a ring at this point. And, Chris Paul might win finals MVP. But, I mean, how strong is that LeBron and Chris Paul friendship to go like, hey,
Well,
Chris,
yeah.
come
you
get
have to
another
think-
one.
well,
You
you
can
have
be
to
the
think about
third option on this team. Like, come get another
okay,
one.
so what
I
if
don't know if it would fit.
I think
it
it would.
I
It
think
would. Are
it
you
would.
kidding?
It absolutely would.
Dude,
Dude, look at the
LeBron-
lobs that LeBron already throws to AD. Now imagine Chris Paul running that team.
Okay,
Okay,
so-
on separate teams, their whole careers, LeBron James and CP3 have been on separate teams. LeBron has always been the primary ball handler, a ball-dominant floor general facilitator, and so hasn't Chris Paul. One of them, and it won't be LeBron.
It will be LeBron.
No,
100%.
no, I'm saying one of them, and it won't be LeBron, will have to change their play style. Chris Paul will have
Okay.
to play off-ball.
No.
So, Gino,
At
this
this
happened
point in his
last year in
career-
the finals.
Conti, you're lying.
so,
LeBron
okay.
has been saying that he wants to play
No,
off
he
ball more
does.
late in his career.
And then look at the
Chris
finals
Paul's the
last
perfect
year.
guy for that.
Dude, Rondo had very quality minutes, and
Yeah.
you would say that about Rondo too. Ooh, Rondo's been a guy who needs the ball in his hands.
Yeah, but
and
he doesn't
was
try.
no. So
until the
yeah, but
playoffs.
Rondo played quality minutes, and he was like not Chris Paul, obviously, but like he facilitated well for that team. And he played his ass off, and he got on the floor, and he worked well with LeBron. And Chris Paul is just a way better Rondo. So if you're saying that, I think it would work. And like the reason Rondo was on the floor was not to shoot corner threes; it was to pass the ball. And he played a lot with LeBron in those finals.
It'll be like Nash and Kobe.
You think?
No, because Kobe. I'm sorry, I love Kobe. May he rest in peace. But he was never the guy that was like, I want to play off ball. Kobe always
I
wanted
need a
the ball
point
in his
guard.
hand. Kobe could never. I don't think Kobe would have ever worked if that Chris Paul trade had gone through a few years ago. Whatever it was, the trade that got declined, that wouldn't have worked
Oh,
either.
yeah.
Because that would not have worked.
No, I think that would have
I
worked.
think LeBron can play off ball. I think he can. Better.
But I do think superstars, no matter what, will work it out. That being said, yeah, that would have worked out. And I think if Chris Paul goes to the Lakers now, I think it still works
oh,
out.
absolutely, and they're both.
And I haven't even done that 1 and 2. No, I'm kidding.
I think the two. LeBron wants to win another ring, like obviously, and if he brings in Chris Paul, like they're both gonna do whatever it takes. And I think Dwayne Wade could play off ball, but it's like they played so well together. It's like Dwayne Wade was a guy who commanded a lot of ball. That was the big gripe with the Miami team. It's like,
But Dwayne
ooh.
Wade deferred.
I know, but it's like that's
Yeah.
I know, but so
LeBron will defer.
I think LeBron could defer too. I mean, the dude's 37. Chris Paul's 36. But I think LeBron at this stage in career is like I can defer, and LeBron does want to play off ball, but not like he will all the time. He'll still get his ISO shots, but it's like he's not at the point in his career where he wants to bring the ball up every time. So a guy like Chris Paul coming in would be perfect for that. I mean, obviously he's probably the best floor general in the game right now, and has been for the last 10 years. I think that's going to work perfectly with LeBron.
Other than Chris Paul, like I'm looking at the free agency class, I don't even know like who would be a good guy for the Lakers to bring on. Like obviously
Derrick Rose.
Kawhi.
Derrick Rose
Derrick Rose too.
We've been saying this for years. Derrick Rose is exactly what this team needs. He's a cheaper, like he's not the shooter like Dennis Schroeder is. Okay.
Yeah.
I want him to get a ring so bad, man.
And he has to get a ring. Okay.
I think he's Schroeder, but like maybe he actually performs in the playoffs. Because like we've seen D Rose take a team to Eastern Conference Finals. So I mean that was when he had knees, so it's like a little bit different. But, I mean, I don't know. So maybe Derrick Rose is just... I think he's very similar to Dennis Schroeder, so maybe he steps in, he's just Dennis Schroeder, but he actually performs. And that's kind of what the Lakers needed this year, too. They obviously needed AD, too, but they needed a third piece, and Schroeder was supposed to be that third piece. And D Rose could totally be that third piece.
That team's biggest mistake, and you're going to laugh, but was getting rid of both JaVale and Dwight Howard. They fit very well on that team. I'm not joking. They both fit very well on that team.
No, I think they replaced him with better players. I just think...
Dude, but listen, first of all, I will say I was wrong about Marc Gasol, because I thought under a lesser role and with lesser minutes, he could still kind of perform.
I was high on Marc Gasol.
Yeah, so I thought that'd be good, but, I mean, he proved he has nothing left to offer, to contribute.
And they lost a lot defensively by lose. Oh, well, I think we're still going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Montrezl Harrell is, I love him, but he's undersized.
No, that's what I was just going to say. So they lost a lot defensively. It's like, so they had Dwight and JaVale, two very good defensive centers. They bring in Andre Drummond, who's Mr. just like can't move on the block. Marc Gasol, who's like 40 now, and all he does is he's just a spot-up shooter, let's be real at this point. And then Montrezl Harrell, who we consider a very, like a good defensive player, but like I was just going to bring it up. He's undersized. He can't really defend those bigger guys. So you lack something when you play the DeAndre Aidens of the world. I mean, he didn't even touch the floor in that series, and there's a reason, because he was probably just too small to defend DeAndre Ayton. There was no point of putting him out there. So basically I just think Montrezl Harrell, undersized, like just simply not going to work when it comes to the bigger guys. Like, so maybe they just need, I hate to say it, not like the Dwight Howard, but like maybe just a guy like that who can play, maybe even Tristan Thompson, bring back LeBron's old buddy, and maybe that would work. I don't know.
It could happen. So we're going to finish each episode how we usually do. We're going to do... No, not that.
A little early.
The hot take of the week, per usual. Who wants to go first? Gino? All right, it's all you.
I said you.
I need a minute.
All right, I'm going to need a minute too. That's why I said you.
D'Lo.
I'll just go for it. I'm actually going to switch it up. I don't know how much you guys talk about baseball on the podcast, but this is
very
Monday.
sparingly.
The Home Run Derby is on tonight, and I kind of looked up the participants, and I was like, hey, I don't know if anyone knows who this is, but I think my guy Joey Gallo is going to go out there, have a great night. I think he's going to win the Home Run Derby.
Didn't you say like yesterday that he is like who the statistics guys just love?
Yeah, so baseball guys love their Joey Gallo. It's just the guys who only hit over the defense, stuff like that. And he also has, I think he finished up before the All-Star break with 13 home runs in 19 games, something crazy. He's on a hot streak.
Yeah, too bad Joey Votto.
He's the perfect.
Too bad Joey Votto, just got more home runs with him.
Don't need to talk about video games anymore on this podcast.
Kicked your ass with an old man.
All right. Next hot take.
All right, I'll go next. I'm gonna throw. You guys are not about to guess what I'm gonna say right now, or what sport even. I'm going UFC. We saw the McGregor and Poirier part 3. Unfortunately, it ended with McGregor breaking his own leg, and I hate to say it because I'm not like a big Conor McGregor fan, nor am I a hater of him. I think he's a decent fighter. Unfortunately, I think he's done. I don't think Conor McGregor is going to be the same fighter that he was. I already think he hasn't been the same. But it's hard. It's gonna be hard to see McGregor bounce back from this. I hope he proves me wrong, but I just don't see him coming back.
Since day one, I think since he fought Mayweather, first of all, his heart wasn't in UFC anymore because he made $100 million fighting Floyd. Yeah. Why not just stick to that and keep on creating dream matches and make yourself still relevant? Where like
he was coked out and it was ridiculous. He went through a little coke phase for sure.
He should have fought. He should fight Pacquiao. He should fight one of the Paul brothers. Both the Paul brothers, maybe. Imagine those promo battles.
He needs to shut them the fuck up.
Yeah.
So.
Someone's got to do it. Oh, my God.
I'll be next. No, I'll be next.
Well, check out Obnoxious Podcast. You know how it be.
All right, what's your hot take, Gino?
pull something out of your ass.
No, don't do it. No, do it. That's the best. Those are the best
We're
guys.
just talking about how good Gino's been this episode. This is gonna go down.
No, Gino, do it. It's the best kind of hot take. Gino, get a clip.
Get ready, TikTok.
TikTok, baby. Let's go.
Get your cameras out.
Oh, God.
Nelson Aguilar is getting 1,300 receiving yards this season.
Oh!
I want to curse on the podcast.
Gino's going to throw the microphone again.
Who's throwing him the ball? Cam Newton? No. Mac Jones, the rookie, is going to get Nelson Aguilar. You picked a number and you chose 1,300?
It's called a hot take for a
How many
reason.
touchdowns? How many touchdowns?
My life is full of lies. My life is full of we'll wrap it up just like we started.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Winning the rushing title.
Thank you for watching episode 3 of I almost just said obnoxious again, of Conti and Nick. We're all over social media now.
This
We got a
was
link
chaotic
tree.
episode. I
It was
loved
chaotic for sure. We're all over Linktree. We got Instagram. We got Twitter. We got a TikTok going now. We're still on Anchor. Somehow Breaker is like 10% of our listeners now.
Shout out to
Don't
our
know how
1%
that
dude
happened.
From Germany who watches us too.
I think
Shout out
it's.
to that guy.
I'm like 90% sure that it's a
From
VPN.
SA Germany.
I'm like 90% sure it's a VPN. But yeah, shout out to that guy. Yeah, make sure you follow us on social media. And as
3,
always,
2, 1.
John
Bro.
Peace.